So we're here outside the main plenary hall at COP17. The final deliberations are starting this afternoon, this evening. Behind me you can see a massive demonstration that's going on. We've seen some estimates on Twitter, 300, 400 or so people. Basically what happened was about an hour and a half ago, a flash mob gathered right here in the main plenary halls. Out of nowhere, people just sort of came together. They started screaming out "Mic check, mic check," and started singing a traditional South African folk song, Shosholoza. Really powerful song, and they slowly moved down this hall behind me, singing a few lines of Shosholoza, and then they began to chant. You can hear behind me now, they're chanting, "The people united will never be defeated." Let me just give you a few lines of what they said. I happen to be there at the moment. I jotted it down. My handwriting's bad, but I'm going to try and get it for you here. When they started this protest about an hour and a half, they said, "We're here today for the people who cannot be here. We're here today for the people who will suffer under the weight of climate change. We're here today for Africa. We're here today for the island nations. We're here today for the world. We're here today to say, listen to the people, not the polluters." They then went on to continue, "We're here today to say, we're here today to support those that are inside who are still fighting for a real climate deal. Listen to the people, people power, not corporate power." At the end of that, there was a lot of cheering, and then Mohammed Aslam, the Minister of Environment from the Maldives, came on. They're using the human mic approach, as you can hear before me. One person shouts out what they have to say, they shout out one line, and then the whole crowd repeats the line for everyone else to hear. So then Mohammed Aslam came on, and he said, this was his message to everyone. He's a Minister of Environment for the Maldives, one of the small island nations here, that's calling for a new climate treaty that would cover all the world's nations and that would be binding and would be negotiated within the next few years. In fact, would be negotiated next year to take effect as soon as possible, and for more of the world's nations to cut their emissions further, because they say that the world's developed countries are not doing enough to cut their emissions, and that's putting all the island nations and many African countries especially at risk. So Mohammed Aslam then came on the microphone, the human microphone, and he said, "You need to save us. The islands won't sink. We have our rights. We have a right to live. You can't decide our destinies. We will have to be saved." So that was his message to the negotiators here. One way or another, the island nations will have to be saved. We've heard that time and again over the past week or 10 days here. The countries that are suffering most from climate change will have to be saved, bailed out one way or another. It's going to cost more the longer we delay. That's the message we've been hearing from activists over and over. You can see perhaps behind me Greenpeace signs that say, "Listen to the people, not polluters." There are a lot of signs being held up in the crowd that say, "Don't kill Africa, stand with Africa." That's the message here, that vulnerable countries are being impacted already by climate change. They're going to be impacted more by climate change, more than any other country, and they will need to be saved. But that being said, we heard some other statements earlier this morning from Friends of the Earth. One of their speakers was saying, he used the analogy of a plane crash. He said, when a plane goes down, even the passengers in first class end up dead. So it may be the poor island, the small islands and the poor countries that are suffering first, but the campaigners here are saying that everyone is going to suffer from climate change in the end. So this group has been here for about an hour and a half. You can probably see the security guards that have set a line behind them. They've created this path out the door. They hung out here for about a half an hour. There were negotiations first with some of the leaders. Kumi Naidu of Greenpeace was one of the leaders of this march, along with 350.org. They negotiated with security. They said the security asked them to follow this path out the door and go outside, and then that would be the end of the protest. But the crowd decided to stay. They used the human mic technique to debate for about half an hour, or more actually, probably close to an hour. They had many speeches from different people. They read a letter that was sent by Canadian youth who were kicked out of this conference 2 days ago for turning their back on their Prime Minister, urging people to stand strong and raise their voices for an ambitious climate deal. You can hear behind me now, they're chanting 2020 is too late. That's a reference to the United States position. The United States has been saying that if a new treaty should be negotiated, come into effect in 2020. But many people are saying that if new targets on cutting greenhouse gas emissions do not come into effect well before that, it'll be too late to solve the most catastrophic issues of climate change. We see there's movement now behind us. I'm not sure if we're going to be pushed out of here. I just want to finish explaining what happened. So So the marchers congregated here. They discussed with the leaders of the march, and then everyone began to speak and give their opinion as whether they should stay or go. They deliberated for about 45 minutes, an hour in this way, eventually decided that they were going to stay, knowing that they would be debadged. That means they would be kicked out of this conference. They said over and over again, when the security decide to come and remove us out of here, they'll touch each of us one by one. That person should go out with the security. So that's the plan. But as of now, I'm not seeing anyone moving out of here yet. I hear people continuing to cheer and to chant, and the security still seem to be standing around. They have just moved off this cordon, so I get a sense that within the next few minutes they are probably going to start moving this crowd out of here. We'll keep an eye on it, and as you know, we're live on OneClimate.net all day long today. We've posted already pictures and videos from this march. If you want to hear the songs they've been singing, hear some of the speeches, check our live blog at OneClimate.net.